Commander Jack Mitchell strode onto the bridge of the HSS Valor, his boots resonating against the metal deck. The crew snapped to attention, eyes following his every move. He reached the command chair with purpose, taking his seat as the stars streaked by on the view screen. "Report," Jack ordered, his voice cutting through the hum of the ship's systems. Lieutenant Henry Jacobs, the comms officer, stepped forward. "Commander, we've just received an urgent distress call from the Melisari. They're under attack by the Raxorians and are pleading for immediate assistance." Jack's eyes narrowed. The Melisari, known for their peaceful nature and harmonious hive cities, had always viewed humans as too aggressive. Their plea for help was unexpected. "Patch it through." The main screen flickered to life, displaying a harried Melisari ambassador. Dr. Leora's compound eyes reflected desperation as she spoke. "Commander Mitchell, we are facing annihilation. The Raxorians have invaded our home. Our defenses are failing. We need your help." Jack felt a surge of determination. He turned to his senior officers, his voice firm. "We're going to Melisara. Prepare for immediate departure." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity. Navigation officers set a course, engineers prepped the engines, and weapons specialists readied the ship for combat. Jack leaned forward in his chair, his mind racing. "Lieutenant Jacobs, gather all available intel on the Raxorians. I want to know everything about their fleet strength and tactics." "Yes, Commander," Jacobs replied, his fingers already flying over his console. The HSS Valor's engines roared to life, the ship surging forward into hyperspace. Jack stared at the streaking stars, reflecting on humanity's reputation. They were seen as aggressive, warlike, but now they had a chance to prove their worth. The Melisari were desperate, and humanity would answer their call. "Commander," Jacobs interrupted his thoughts. "Initial reports indicate the Raxorian fleet is heavily armed and uses advanced cloaking technology. They've already decimated several Melisari colonies." Jack nodded, processing the information. "We'll need to be at our best. Prepare all defensive and offensive systems. We can't afford any mistakes." As the Valor hurtled through space, Jack addressed his crew over the intercom. "Listen up, everyone. The Melisari need our help. This isn't just another mission. It's a chance to show what humanity stands for. We will fight, and we will protect. Make ready." The crew's response was immediate, a chorus of acknowledgments and determined faces. Jack felt a sense of unity among them, a shared purpose that transcended their individual roles. The journey to Melisara was tense but brief. As the ship dropped out of hyperspace, the planet came into view, surrounded by the ominous silhouettes of Raxorian warships. The once peaceful hive cities of Melisara were now battlegrounds. "Status report," Jack barked, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Multiple Raxorian ships detected," Commander Jacobs reported. "They've overwhelmed the Melisari defenses." Jack took a deep breath, his mind racing with strategies. "All hands, battle stations. Prepare to engage the enemy." The Valor surged forward, its weapons systems coming online. The first shots were fired, and the battle began in earnest. The Raxorians were fierce, their ships agile and deadly, but the Valor was a marvel of human engineering, a testament to their ingenuity and resolve. "Focus on their command ship," Jack ordered. "We take it out and we disrupt their coordination." The crew worked seamlessly, targeting the Raxorian flagship. Laser cannons blazed and missiles streaked through the void, finding their marks. The Raxorian shields flared and buckled under the assault. "We're making progress, Commander," Jacob said, a hint of relief in his voice. "Their command ship is taking heavy damage. But the Raxorians were not so easily defeated. A new wave of enemy ships emerged from the shadows, their advanced cloaking technology making them nearly invisible. They opened fire, and the Valor shuddered under the impact. "Damage report," Jack demanded, gripping the armrests of his chair. "Shields holding at 70%, the tactical officer replied. "Minor hull breaches in sectors 3 and 4. Jack's jaw tightened. "Maintain fire on the command ship. We can't let up now." The battle raged on, the Valor weaving through enemy fire with precision. Jack's tactical acumen shone as he directed his crew, exploiting every weakness in the Raxorian formation. The command ship finally succumbed, erupting in a fiery explosion. "Command ship is down," Jacobs announced triumphantly. "Good work," Jack said, allowing himself a brief moment of satisfaction. "Now let's finish this." With their command ship destroyed, the Raxorian fleet began to falter. The Valor pressed the advantage, systematically dismantling the remaining enemy ships. The tide of battle turned decisively in favor of the humans and their Melisari allies. As the last of the Raxorian ships fled, Jack took a deep breath, the tension easing slightly. "All units, stand down. Begin rescue and recovery operations. Let's help the Melisari rebuild." The bridge crew erupted in cheers, but Jack's mind was already on the next steps. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. He looked out at the battered hive cities of Melisara, determination hardening his resolve. "Prepare a landing party," he ordered. "I'm going down there to see Dr. Lyora and assess the situation firsthand." Commander Jack Mitchell stood on the bridge of the HSS Valor, his gaze locked onto the view screen displaying the chaos engulfing Melisara. Raxorian warships swarmed like locusts, their energy weapons tearing into the delicate hive cities below. The air was thick with tension as the crew braced for the imminent battle. "Status report," Jack barked, his voice cutting through the murmur of the bridge. "Multiple Raxorian ships engaging the Melisari defenses," Lieutenant Henry Jacobs responded, his fingers flying over his console. "Their hive cities are taking heavy damage. We need to act now." Jack's jaw tightened. "All hands, prepare for combat. Helm, bring us into attack range. Weapons, target the nearest Raxorian warship and fire at will." The Valor surged forward, its engines roaring as it cut through the void. The first volley of plasma bolts streaked from its cannons, slamming into a Raxorian cruiser. The enemy ship shuddered under the impact, its shields flaring and then collapsing in a shower of sparks. "Direct hit," Jacobs called out. "Their shields are down." "Focus fire on their engines," Jack ordered. "Let's cripple them." The Valor's gunners adjusted their aim, unleashing a relentless barrage that tore through the Raxorian ship's propulsion systems. The enemy vessel drifted helplessly, flames licking at its hull. But the Raxorians were not idle. A squadron of their fighters broke off from the main fleet, diving towards the Valor with deadly intent. The ship's anti-fighter turrets whirred to life, spewing flak and laser fire. But a few enemy fighters slipped through the net. "Incoming fighters," Jacobs warned. "They're targeting our bridge." "Deploy countermeasures," Jack shouted, "and get our interceptors out there." The Valor's hull shuddered as enemy fire struck home. Explosions rocked the ship, but the crew remained steadfast. In the void beyond, the ship's interceptors launched, engaging the Raxorian fighters in a deadly dogfight. On the bridge, the tension was palpable. Every crew member knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle to prove humanity's worth as allies and defenders. "Helm, bring us around to target their flagship," Jack commanded. "We need to take it out before it can do more damage." As the Valor maneuvered into position, the Raxorian flagship loomed large on the view screen, its menacing silhouette bristling with weaponry. Jack felt a surge of determination. They had to succeed. "Fire all forward batteries," he ordered. The Valor unleashed a torrent of plasma and missile fire, hammering the Raxorian flagship's shields. For a moment, it seemed as though the enemy ship might withstand the onslaught, but then its defenses buckled, and explosions rippled along its hull. "We've breached their shields," Jacobs reported. "They're vulnerable." "Keep up the pressure," Jack urged. "Don't give them a chance to recover." As the Valor pressed the attack, the Raxorian flagship began to falter. Its weapons fire grew sporadic, and its movements became sluggish. The ship was clearly on the brink of destruction. But just as victory seemed within reach, the Raxorians revealed their trump card. A second wave of enemy ships emerged from hyperspace, their arrival turning the tide of battle. The Valor's sensors lit up with new threats, and the bridge crew exchanged worried glances. "Sir, we have multiple new contacts," Jacob said, his voice tight with urgency. "We're outnumbered." Jack clenched his fists. "We've come too far to back down now. All units, hold your ground." Focus on protecting the hive cities and buy us some time. The battle raged on, the void filled with the deadly dance of starships. The Valor's crew fought with everything they had, but the Raxorian reinforcements were relentless. Explosions rocked the ship, and alarms blared as damage reports flooded in. "We're taking heavy fire," Jacob shouted. "Shields at 50% and dropping." Jack's mind raced. They needed a new strategy, something to tip the scales in their favor. His eyes fell on the Raxorian flagship, still vulnerable, but now surrounded by its reinforcements. A daring plan formed in his mind. "Jacobs, get a team ready for a boarding action," Jack said, his voice firm. "We're going to disable that flagship from the inside." Jacobs nodded, already moving to assemble his team. "Yes, sir. We'll need a diversion to get us in close." "Leave that to me," Jack replied. "Helm, take us in. Full speed. Weapons, lay down covering fire." The Valor surged forward, closing the distance to the Raxorian fleet. Its cannons blazed, creating a fiery curtain that forced the enemy ships to scatter. Amidst the chaos, a small shuttle launched from the Valor's hangar, carrying Jacobs and his boarding team towards the flagship. As the shuttle darted through the battlefield, the crew on the Valor continued to hold the line, their resolve unwavering. They knew that their survival depended on the success of Jacobs' mission. Inside the shuttle, Jacobs and his team braced for the impending battle. The plan was simple but dangerous: infiltrate the flagship, disable its weapon systems, and buy the Valor the time it needed to turn the tide. "We're approaching the target," the shuttle pilot announced. "Brace for impact." The shuttle latched onto the Raxorian flagship's hull with a jolt. The boarding team quickly cut through the hull, entering the enemy ship. They moved with precision, dispatching Raxorian guards and making their way to the core system. "Jacobs to Valor, we're inside," Jacobs reported. "Proceeding to the main reactor." "Understood," Jack replied. "We'll cover you. Good luck." As the boarding team advanced, the battle outside intensified. The Valor's shields were failing, and enemy fire was starting to breach the hull. But the crew fought on, inspired by their commander's unwavering resolve. At the reactor, Jacobs and his team planted explosive charges, setting the timers with practiced ease. "Charges set," Jacobs said. "We're getting out now." The team raced back to their shuttle, the countdown ticking away. They launched just as the explosives detonated, a massive explosion ripping through the Raxorian flagship. The ship shuddered and then began to disintegrate, debris scattering into space. "Direct hit," Jacobs exclaimed. "The flagship is down." A cheer erupted on the Valor's bridge. The destruction of the Raxorian flagship had turned the tide. The remaining enemy ships, now leaderless and demoralized, began to retreat. "We did it," Jack said, a note of relief in his voice. "All units, mop up the stragglers and secure the area." The HSS Valor bucked violently as another Raxorian blast rocked its hull. Commander Jack Mitchell gripped the armrests of his command chair, his eyes locked on the chaotic scene unfolding on the view screen. "Damage report," he barked, his voice cutting through the din of alarms. "Shields down to 30%. Lieutenant Henry Jacobs shouted over the noise. "We're holding, but we can't take much more of this." Jack's mind raced. They needed a new strategy, and fast. "Engineering, divert all power to the shields. We need to buy some time." As the crew scrambled to execute his orders, Jack formulated a bold plan. "Lieutenant Jacobs, get your team ready. You're going to disable that flagship from the inside." Jacobs nodded, understanding the gravity of the mission. "Yes, sir. We'll need a distraction to get in close." Jack turned to his tactical officer. "Prepare a barrage. Give them something to think about." Minutes later, a shuttle launched from the Valor, heading straight for the heart of the Raxorian fleet. Inside, Jacobs and his team steeled themselves for the daunting task ahead. The shuttle weaved through a hail of enemy fire, slipping past the Raxorian defenses thanks to the Valor's covering fire. "Stay sharp," Jacobs instructed his team. "Our target is the core. We disable their weapon systems, or we don't come back." The shuttle docked with the Raxorian flagship, and the team moved swiftly, navigating the dimly lit corridors with precision. They encountered immediate resistance. Raxorian soldiers lunged at them with brutal efficiency. Blaster fire erupted, the close-quarters combat intense and unforgiving. "Push forward," Jacobs urged, his blaster taking down a charging Raxorian. "We need to reach the control room." They fought their way deeper into the ship, the stakes higher with each step. The air was thick with the acrid smell of scorched metal and ozone. Jacobs led the charge, his focus unwavering despite the chaos surrounding him. Every corner they turned brought new dangers, but retreat was not an option. Finally, they reached the central chamber. The room was a hive of activity, with Raxorian engineers and soldiers working frantically. Jacobs signaled his team to spread out and take positions. "On my mark," he whispered. With synchronized precision, they launched their attack. The Raxorians, caught off guard, fell under the onslaught. Jacobs advanced towards the main console, setting explosive charges as he moved. "Cover me!" he shouted, planting the final charge. The countdown began, each second a reminder of their diminishing window for escape. "Charges set. We have 90 seconds to get out of here," Jacobs announced. The team retraced their steps, battling through a gauntlet of Raxorian forces. The ship shook violently as the explosives detonated, disabling the weapon systems and causing catastrophic damage. Jacobs' team raced towards the shuttle, the passageways now filled with smoke and fire. Back on the Valor, Jack monitored their progress anxiously. "Prepare for extraction," he ordered. "We need to get them out of there." The shuttle emerged from the flaming wreckage of the Raxorian flagship, streaking towards the Valor. As it docked, Jack breathed a sigh of relief. "Welcome back," he greeted Jacobs and his team. "Outstanding work." "We did what we had to," Jacobs replied, exhaustion evident in his voice. "But we're not out of the woods yet." Jack nodded. "Agreed. Tactical status on the Raxorian fleet?" "They're regrouping, sir, but their flagship is crippled," the tactical officer reported. "We've got an opening." "All right, this is our chance," Jack said, turning to his crew. "All hands, prepare for a final assault. We end this now." The Valor surged forward, its weapons blazing. The remaining Raxorian ships, disoriented and leaderless, struggled to mount an effective defense. Jack coordinated the attack with unyielding precision, exploiting every weakness and pressing the advantage. "Fire at will," he commanded, his voice calm but resolute. The Valor's guns unleashed a relentless barrage, tearing through the Raxorian ranks. One by one, the enemy ships fell, unable to withstand the onslaught. The bridge crew worked in perfect harmony, each action a testament to their training and determination. Amidst the chaos, Jack remained focused, his mind a whirlwind of tactical calculations and split-second decisions. The Raxorian fleet, once a formidable threat, now crumbled before their eyes. "Sir, the Raxorians are retreating," Jacobs reported, his tone a mix of disbelief and triumph. "Hold your fire." "Let them go," Jack ordered. "We've done what we came to do." As the last of the Raxorian ships fled, a cheer erupted on the bridge. The battle was won, but the cost had been high. Jack allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction before addressing his crew. "Well done, everyone. We've shown what humanity is capable of." The relief was palpable, but Jack knew their work was far from over. "Jacobs, get damage control teams on those critical sectors. We need to be ready for anything." "Understood, sir," Jacobs replied, already moving to carry out the orders. Jacobs and his team raced through the narrow corridors of the Raxorian flagship, the countdown timer blinking ominously on their wrist displays. Sweat dripped down their faces as they ducked under beams and dodged through bulkheads, the ship's structure groaning under the strain of the planted explosives. Just as the final seconds ticked away, they dove into their shuttle, blasting away from the doomed vessel. The explosion ripped through space, a brilliant burst of light and debris marking the end of the Raxorian threat. Back on the HSS Valor, Commander Jack Mitchell watched the fireworks from the bridge. "Jacobs, status report," he barked into the comms. "We're clear, sir," Jacobs replied, breathless but triumphant. "The flagship is down." A cheer erupted from the crew, the tension of the past hours finally breaking. Jack allowed himself a brief moment of relief before snapping back to command mode. All right, people. Let's finish this. All units, full assault. Drive them out. The Valor surged forward, leading the charge as the combined human and Melisari forces pressed their advantage. The Raxorian fleet, disoriented and leaderless, began to falter. Jack's orders were precise and relentless, coordinating strikes and defenses with surgical precision. One by one, the Raxorian ships fell, their aggressive push collapsing under the might of unified resistance. As the last enemy vessel was destroyed, a quiet settled over the battlefield. Jack scanned the readouts, ensuring no further threats remained. "Stand down from battle stations," he ordered. "Good work, everyone." The crew let out a collective sigh of relief. The battle was won, but the cost was high. Jack knew there would be time to mourn later. Now they had to help their allies rebuild. On the surface of Melisara, the devastation was stark. The once glistening hive cities lay in ruins, their golden spires shattered and smoldering. Jack descended with a team of engineers and medics, ready to offer whatever aid they could. Dr. Leora met them amidst the rubble, her compound eyes reflecting both gratitude and sorrow. "Commander Mitchell," she said, her voice tinged with wariness, "your timing was impeccable. Without your help, we would have been lost." Jack nodded, looking around at the destruction. "We're here to help, Dr. Leora. Tell us what you need." They worked tirelessly, human and Melisari side by side, clearing debris and tending to the wounded. The Melisari, despite their physical injuries, showed remarkable resilience. They guided the human teams through the delicate process of repairing the hive structures, their advanced ecological knowledge proving invaluable. As night fell, Jack and Leora took a moment to rest. They sat on a makeshift bench, watching as teams worked under the glow of portable lights. "I must admit," Leora began, "we underestimated your people. We saw only your aggression, not the strength and courage that come with it." Jack looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "It's true we can be aggressive," he said. "But it's not just about fighting. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. Sometimes, you have to stand up and be strong to ensure peace." Leora nodded, her mandibles clicking softly. "We have much to learn from each other, it seems. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new understanding." Jack smiled, feeling a sense of hope. "I believe it is. Together, we can face any challenge." As dawn broke over Melisara, the rebuilding efforts continued. The once quiet planet buzzed with activity, a testament to the unyielding spirit of both the Melisari and their human allies. The bond forged in battle began to strengthen, laying the groundwork for a future of cooperation and mutual respect. Back on the Valor, Jack received a message from Admiral Hansen, the head of the human fleet. "Congratulations on your victory, Mitchell," Hansen said. "Your efforts have shown the galaxy what humans are truly capable of." "Thank you, Admiral," Jack replied. "But the credit goes to the entire team. We couldn't have done it without the Melisari and their incredible resilience." Hansen nodded. "Indeed, maintain that alliance. We have a lot to gain from working together." Jack ended the transmission, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. As he looked out at the bustling hive cities below, he knew their work was far from over. The Raxorians might have been defeated for now, but the galaxy was vast, and other challenges awaited. "Jacobs," he called, summoning his lieutenant to the bridge. "We need to stay vigilant. Begin preparations for any future threats. We can't let our guard down." Jacob saluted, his expression determined. "Yes, sir. We'll be ready." As the Valor prepared for its next mission, Jack took a moment to reflect on the journey. They had faced incredible odds and emerged stronger for it. The alliance with the Melisari was a beacon of hope in a tumultuous galaxy, a reminder that even the most disparate of species could find common ground and fight for a better future. The bridge crew resumed their duties with a renewed sense of purpose. The Valor, though scarred from battle, stood as a symbol of resilience and unity. Jack knew they had set a powerful example, one that would resonate far beyond the confines of their ship. And so, with the promise of a new dawn, the HSS Valor soared through the stars, ready to defend, ready to protect, and ready to forge a path toward lasting peace. As the ship glided into the depths of space, a new transmission came through, crackling with static. Jack's brow furrowed as he listened to the garbled message, the words becoming clearer. It was a call for help, another plea from a distant world under threat.